is Brian Bond. I am a sophomore here at Bloomsburg. I am a theater major with a performance emphasis, and I'm also a music minor, and I play the role of Steven.
My name is Noah Eisengrein. I am a junior here at Bloomsburg University. I am a double major in theater with an emphasis in performance and biology with an emphasis in natural history, and I am playing Malcolm Larrabee.
Steven is sort of, I suppose, the best way that they put it both in the show and the best way for us to think about it is the handyman around the Larrabee household, in the sense of kind of like this butler-esque character. However, he's really composed. He was a former English teacher, so he's also quite the bright guy. And his role in the show is being this character that he has the brains. However, because of that, he seems really cerebral at times, to a point where sometimes characters suspect maybe he isn't what he seems.
So Malcolm is basically the patriarch of the Larrabee family. He is the father of the twins, Wesley and Leslie. And he was raised with a very, as he puts it in the play, a very liberal dose of the arts. He grew up really being exposed to classic literature and Shakespeare and acting out Shakespeare in his living room and things like that. And so he's very well versed in this kind of thing. He is very straightforward. He doesn't really like to sort of mess around that much. He likes to just speak the truth and not beat around the bush. He doesn't like to play games. He indulges in quite a few activities, such as gardening, which I believe is a little bit of a stress reliever. He also is a gambler. He likes to play poker and do some bets on things like football games with friends and things like that. And yeah, that's Malcolm.
What I believe can be taken from Steven is perhaps kind of like a pseudo version of the trope of believing like the most obvious person might be in this position, but this kind of flips it on his head, because at times during the show, Steven seems to be like an all-knowing character to a point where it's like, oh, could he be in this detrimental position? However, I mean, well, who knows if he is? I don't know. However, taking that trope as you walk away from the show of individuals that they can be really smart and all-knowing, but that doesn't mean they're like doing some underhanded tactic perhaps to try and get their goals or whatever it may be. And also Steven and Jolene, kind of this love thing, and being able to see their true love flourish through times throughout the show is very admirable, and something I'd say you could take away from the show.
Something that I really hope the audience takes away from Malcolm is, for one thing, he really takes his position as the patriarch of the family very seriously. I think it's something that he understands, that this is the position that he's in, and the sort of responsibilities / expectations / even stereotypes that come with that role. And I think he feels a certain sort of obligation to fulfill this role and be good at this role and what he does within the role. And then there's another thing I think is really important to his character, is that he's really trying as a father. And one thing that I really hope comes across to the audience is the relationship that he has with his sons and how that's different between the two of them. His relationship with Leslie is one thing, and his relationship with Wesley is a very different thing. And I'm hoping that the audience can get a sense of what the history in this family has been between Malcolm and his sons, as well as Malcolm and the rest of the family. I think these relationships are very important to Malcolm and to how he speaks to and treats the other members of the family.
One thing I believe can be taken away from the show is the sense of family, really, because this entire series of events is happening within this family. And then there's Kimberly and Steven, who they are a part of the family. So being able to find, like, through the show, how these characters interact with each other and show affection and love and all these things, and really coming together to figure out a very devastating mystery with the main plot of this show. So I think being able to walk away from this show and maybe have like a new view for how you view the entirety of your family, even if you don't see them every day, even if they don't live in the same state as you, just having that awareness that your family is with you, particularly during the toughest times, and they'll always be with you.
I really hope that the audience has fun watching this. I think there is a lot of fun in watching a murder mystery and the elements of the whodunit and the cliffhangers and the suspense, and there's new elements getting thrown at you at every twist and turn. And it really is just a lot of fun. And I would love for the audience to be able to watch and really be sitting there and thinking to themselves, well, it could be this person or it could be that person, and here's why I think that. I would love for the audience to be able to make these predictions for themselves as they're watching the play, so that we can get to possibly finding out who done it and seeing if they're right. And I would love to just know what the thought process behind anybody's head might be as to who they think might have done it throughout and why. I would just love to hear what it is that they get from the show. And I just think there's a lot of fun in being able to play this game.
There have been like a plentiful amount of moments that have been particularly fun, as the whole entire process has been fun. But for me personally, just being able to at the very beginning, we did like kind of like character work where we would talk to one another and discuss how our characters' relationships work. And I particularly remember having conversations with characters such as like Kimberly and Jolene, and having like these conversations as ourselves, as Brian Bond, but speaking kind of from Steven, and forming these relationships and really helping us form these bonds that go straight into our performances with our lines and how we interact with each other. So I think every moment where we got to really discuss relationship, those were really fun times.
I think the part that's been most fun for me has just been watching everybody's character develop and seeing where they started and where they've ended up in the middle of the process, because we've worked on the show and been working with these characters for a long time now. We started before the break, and now here we are in March, still with these same characters. And it's been really, really fun for me to watch how each of these characters have evolved over time, as the individual actors have gotten to spend so much time with their character. They get to learn so much more about their characters pretty much with every rehearsal. And yeah, I just think it's been really fun for me to watch that journey for everybody, because it's been different for everybody. And it's been just really rewarding as well to watch as these actors have developed these characters into what they are now.
What I believe makes Much Ado stand out from other murder mysteries is I personally believe the comedy in Much Ado About Murder is really well timed at a lot of parts. Like, it has like the perfect sense of timing of when to do jokes and who to do the jokes with. And the best part about the jokes is that some of them lead into the ending. So like, you take it at base value when you first hear it, then perhaps at the ending it comes up again. It was like, oh, I laughed at that before, but that had a lot more meaning than intended. So I feel like the comedy, both the importance of it and legitimately how funny it is just awesome about this. And I feel like differentiates it from other murder mysteries.
I think what really makes Much Ado stand out among the murder mystery genre is its heart, and its, as well as its theme of family. I think that's something that is really, really important to the story and very, very distinctive about this story, that it is not just somebody was murdered, who done it, we got to figure out what happened. There's a lot more to it than that. It rides so heavily on the relationships between these characters and the histories between these characters, and just the family unit as one. And it's something that I just think makes this play really special.
My process since going on to this virtual medium, it's kind of been a rude awakening and made me appreciate things that I hadn't before when theater was in person, particularly being able to physically be with someone else and really like kind of feel them next to you and have this partnership and this connection with them. Whereas online, it personally it was a lot harder to find that not being with them personally. But through this online process, I've learned as an actor to really appreciate it and talk more to an individual, make contact, and so forth. And I feel when theater goes back to normal, this whole process will have bettered me entirely as an actor when I go back into theater, film, or whatever it may be.
I think this process of developing this play online has been really telling in it made me realize that I think I took the ability to be in the same room as these other actors for granted before we were forced to be in this online setting. Because I'm finding now that we're in this online setting that I am not always necessarily paying as much attention to what the other actors are doing as to what I was doing. I think looking back before, I think I have always been very, very focused on what it is that I'm doing in the scene as the character. And of course, there is some focus on the other as well, but I think this has helped me realize that there's so much more to that I can do and I can develop in the attention to the other, in my scene partner in so many ways, because it's a whole different game to have to connect to somebody over a computer screen versus when they're right there in front of you. So it really has made me sort of reevaluate how it is that I go about connecting with my scene partners as an actor.
My advice to you when you come see this show is pay attention to absolutely everything. If you really want to engage yourself in finding out who done it, and I really urge you to pay attention to everything, whether it's the lines, whether it's characters' reactions, whether it's some props, pay attention to every little detail, and perhaps at the end, you'll feel extremely rewarded for how much you paid attention.
If I could give any advice to the audience members watching, I would definitely have to say, trust no one, and always remember that nobody is safe.
Come see Much Ado About Murder.
March 10th through 14th.